I think it's working. It looks like it's live. What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. So, wow, not a whole lot to go over right now. I mean, when we're talking about car stuff and we're talking about things that might get you excited, right? What is there? What is going on in the whole car sphere that would get anybody even remotely excited and would get anybody wanting to talk about actually trading dollars for a vehicle. And I got to tell you, there ain't much. There's more and more people that are leaning more and more away from cars like even the new Mustang, the S660, because they're not tunable. But Ford does have their own in house tuning capabilities with Ford Racing Performance parts, primarily with superchargers. Now, that is a bit of an expensive proposition, but it's a pretty good value. So at least you have that going. Oh, and you can do that for their trucks too. Anybody else out there doing that? No, nobody else is. But outside of that, what about other manufacturers? Getting away from the big three American manufacturers, there's really nothing to talk about from Nissan. They're going through their own financial issues right now. And with the outgoing Supra, well, it just doesn't seem like we've got a lot to chat about. I think there's a lot of folks that are out there that are just hoping and praying and wishing that Dodge would put something out there. There's rumors that you're going to see a new Viper or that there's going to be a baby Viper. There's all kinds of stupid things that are getting rattled around out there. It's one of those things where you just basically shit in your hand and throw it on the wall and, hey, whatever sticks. I told you. That's exactly what it is. So the way I look at it is like this. If you want a really good V8 powered contraption, you're going to have to buy a used one. There isn't one coming from any of the new markets that's going to give you anything really to hold your breath for. And from any of the foreign manufacturers, it's one of these things that, look, for the foreign manufacturers, they're already building the kind of cars that these American manufacturers are going to end up floundering into anyway. Again, cars like the Supra, the Z car from Nissan. And that's about it. I mean, I get it. You got the BMW Z4 and the M cars from those guys, but let's be honest. I mean, those cars are stratospherically expensive. So, yeah, you're looking at cars that can't be ECU flashed. And that's really what made them all the better back in the day. I mean, you could tune them. Now you can't. So anyway, but it's not just that. Dodge is not bringing anything to the table, at least not anytime soon. And when they do, if comes, if that makes any sense, are you going to be able to have enough monies to buy the thing? Because here's the other side of this. People are getting excited about the myth of something to come, the hope, the promise of some machine, some contraption that is going to just breathe breath of life back into Dodge. The problem is you're going to have to making serious paper to make that work. And there's a problem with that too. You see, the issue is, and this is for all of you Viper guys out there, the guys who go, oh, you're going to bring back the Viper. Guys, right here, I am a 3-time Viper owner. I have set national records with Vipers in stock displacement cars. I had street race them. I had road course them. I drag race them. I have a ton of experience with Vipers, but that experience is separated from me today by a lot of years. There's reasons why I never bought another one. And look, if Dodge ever did bring back the Viper, let me explain to you what that would have to look like for it to be a viable business decision. You see, because for so many Viper guys, and I qualify myself like this, and I'm addressing Viper guy directly, all right? Whether you're a Viper guy that just is going to go out there and buy one because you got that kind of stacks, or if you're a butterfly that just wants to land on the stamen of Dodge. What the issue is this, and I know this because I had back in 2016 a long conversation with Dodge marketing guys at a Mecum auto auction. And it breaks down like this. Dodge has got to create a brand of Viper the way that they created a brand of Ram. The reason why is because Chevrolet created the brand of Corvette. And there are multiple levels to Corvette that can appeal to multiple income ranges. Corvette's always been somewhat aspirational, but you always had a base Vet, an upgraded Vet, a Halo Vet, and then a bad boy Vet that nobody could afford except for a few folks. You have to have those kind of levels. Viper has never been like that. It's just been the bad boy car that nobody could ever afford. And that's a real problem if you want to sell cars. And again, it's one of the reasons why so many of those cars didn't ever get sold. Well, let me rephrase that. So many in volume didn't get sold is because they didn't have things like automatic transmission. They didn't have things like lower power level. Like where instead of an 8-liter V10, why not have a 6-liter V8, right? And then you work up into these other power levels. That's how you create a brand and a product that will actually be viable as a long-term financial entity for the brand, because each brand is its own financial entity. Unless Dodge does that, forget it. You ain't never going to see another Viper again. You can play, you can pretend, you can play, hope, whatever. It doesn't matter. The other car that was rumored was like a baby Viper, like a car much like, and you got to really do some Google searching on this, do your homework, but take a look at the Copperhead. I'll do it while we're on the live show just so we can see it, but you've got to see what I'm talking about, because this was a car that a lot of folks actually thought was going to be, got to go from concept to reality. And the reason for that, here, let me just drag one of these things up. Bear with me here. In fact, let me do this. This was actually kind of a big deal. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull this up for you guys real quick and share the screen. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. So back in the day, the Copperhead concept was a thing, and it was kind of at about the same time that the Prowler was prowling around. And this is when everybody was building their concept car. Everybody, I mean, that GM built SR, Ford, well, they built the T-Bird. Dodge built the Prowler, and so on and so on. The HHR came from all of this. And the thing is that this is what has been rumored, which is to say the Dodge Copperhead, which is in essence a 30-year-old concept car that if it were brought back today, maybe it does well. This is one of the other rumored cars, or at least one of the cars that was talked about. But again, will Dodge make it? I don't know. Maybe. I think it's more, there's a stronger case for Dodge to make one of these cars than there would be the Viper. So let me walk you through the reason for that. First of all, price. Copperhead, you could use every engine that's in Dodge's current arsenal right now. All of the Hurricane variants, a V6, whatever, would fit into this platform, and you would have varying levels of performance from entry level all the way up to crazy. Well, you could do that with a car like this. And it would spread the gambit from maybe $35,000 to $55,000 or $60,000 for the absolute most aspirational variant of this car. And I think that with 550 horsepower, all-wheel drive, and a curb weight that didn't exceed, say, 3,700 pounds, you'd have yourself a pretty nasty little winner on your hands. So with all of that being said, will we ever see something like this? Man, look, I don't know, but these are the rumors that are flying around. Not that they're going to build a Copperhead, but the car that they were talking about was an entry-level sporty car, and I mean, what the hell is that if it ain't an entry-level sporty car? So there's that we can talk about. But even more so, you know, taking the hopes and dreams of a Viper or a Copperhead making a comeback or making an appearance, if we're talking about the Copperhead specifically, the other issue that we have right now is that we still don't have a Hurricane-powered Charger to compare anything to. And I think that for a lot of people, that in and of itself is a big problem. So why do I say that? Well, because of this. For those that have driven the EV Charger, I don't know that there's a lot that they're coming away from as far as being inspired by it. They're not looking at that car going, man, I tell you what, I got to have me one of those. I got to make sure I have one of these things in my garage before the end of the week. Nobody is really saying that about the new Charger. As a matter of fact, most people, if you watch any of these other reviews of that car, if they're honest, hell, even Doug DeMuro, the freaking Mr. Rogers of car reviews, did not do that car any favors by saying what I had been saying for so long, is that it's a first effort. It's a very, he didn't use the word sophomoric, but it kind of is. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It literally comes across as somebody has gotten started on something. They're on their way to something. They just haven't made it there yet. You know, they know where the bathrooms are in the building, and that's about the most you can say about the staff at that point. And that is what that Charger is. But the problem is that it is an EV. EVs are a real problem for a lot of people. I haven't brought this up in a live show, and I keep forgetting to, so I need to get this out of my system. So it's been about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was meeting some folks for a ride on the GSX-R 1000. And as I'm waiting there, this lady, I'm at a Buc-ee's gas station. If you're not from Texas and you don't know what Buc-ee's is, it's like the mecca of gas stations. And it's like a huge, people just go to Buc-ee's. It's like a grocery store that sells gas, but it's so much more than that. Anyway, it's a Texas thing. Anyway, I'm at the Buc and I'm waiting on a buddy of mine to show up. And there is a row of EV Chargers to my right. This lady shows up in one of Ford's Mustang EVs. And for whatever reason, and I don't know what the differences are, I do not get me to lying. I don't know what I'm talking about when I'm saying this, but they had Mercedes-Benz emblems on all these things. I don't know if that means that it's made by Mercedes. You can only charge a Mercedes. I don't know anything about this, but what I can tell you is that she could not charge that Mustang at that charging facility. That's equivalent to you taking your Chevy pickup truck to a gas station that the nozzle thing only goes into Toyota pickup trucks and it won't fit into your truck. That's what that's all about. I mean, how in the hell does something like that happen? So this lady, and I felt bad for her. I didn't talk to her or anything. I just sat there and watched this show unfold. She's going to like each one of these different Chargers, looking at the sticking in her thing to, I guess, see if it would fit for her vehicle. And after about, I don't know, less than 10 minutes, but more than 5 of her messing with this, she just checks out and leaves. And, you know, the first thing that goes through my mind is that sucks. But then I got to thinking, dude, this is a real problem for that lady. What if she's got people she's got to pick up? What if she's got to get to work? She got groceries. Kids got to get picked up at school. And she's having to go through the inconvenience of not being able to charge her EV because of the sticking in her thing isn't going to work. That's stupid. Anyway, like, just mark up another reason why I won't ever own an EV. But this is what I'm kind of driving at, guys. The issue is that they're driving home and they're shoving down our throats this EV narrative And it's not very fashionable anymore. EV sales are down. People don't want these things. They're figuring out pretty quickly that the resale value is terrible on those vehicles. So, I mean, guys, you do the math. If it's a $60,000 vehicle that's only going to be worth 32 in 3 years, that means you're basically coughing up $10,000 a year plus your payment in terms of losing your value on that thing. So yeah, your resale value goes to trash. And when you're looking at depreciation like that, that's something that'll freak people out right off the bat. But that's what they're seeing with a lot of these EVs. So it's not very savory just from that point alone, much less all the rest of the inconvenience that could possibly crop up if you are in a spot where you need to get power into that thing and you can't. Man, I don't even know where to begin with that level of frustration. So anyway, let me check back in with you guys real quick. Let's see. Itch is in. Ryan is in. David is in. Ryan saying, see an interview with an EPA employee said the tuners go back to piggyback modules and will find a way to modify no matter what. I've already been doing it. Guys, the C8 Corvette is nothing but piggybacks. Piggyback stuff has been around now for a while. Diesels have been doing this stuff for a very long time. And yeah, so I mean, yeah, 1997 called, they want their tuning technology back. But you know what? I'll tell you, it is how it's going to be. And look, here's the deal. One of the problems are these OTA, which is over the air updates that these manufacturers have got in play. And what that basically means is that at any given time, for whatever reason just happens to be in vogue, the manufacturer can update your vehicle without your consent, which means that if you put a tune into that vehicle, they could presumably overwrite that tune. Now, in my F-150, there is an option to kill that. And that's even an option in the truck itself, where you just disallow any over-the-air updates. So that's good. I killed Wi-Fi with that. There's a lot of things you can make the truck not do that they would like for you to have. But the way I see it, it's my truck. I'm the one that bought it. It's, it might be your intellectual property, but it's my physical property. I'm not having somebody messing around with the tune or anything else. What happens if that gets corrupted? Now I've got a brick sitting in my driveway that used to work perfectly fine before. Yeah, no thanks on that. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of this, but let me tell you what the problem is with piggybacks. They're not traceable. And what manufacturers could do is put tamper-proof connectors or whatever, one-piece wiring looms, stuff like that. Okay. But the fact of the matter is that no matter what, no matter what the manufacturer does to try to get around tuners using piggyback units, they're still going to do it, and they're not traceable. So because they're not traceable, you get in there and pop this thing, and you just basically blew up a brand new car. Oh, you can just take the piggyback out, and there's no way to trace whether or not it ever had a tune in it. So, I mean, if you're the manufacturer, you're better off doing what Dodge used to do. You can tune it, but it's going to have a P1400 code that's held over all of the computer system. That's body control module, transmission control module, and ECU. The only way you can get around all of that is to replace every one of those components. And that is incredibly expensive. And so you can, if you want, tune those things, but it's always going to show that it's been tuned. And okay, so it's been tuned. But I guess the big issue here is, if you can't tune it and you can't really have fun with it, is the factory tune good enough to where you don't want to tune it? I don't know. I can tell you with my F-150, it wasn't. And I'm pretty sure that with Mustangs and any other cars that would come out, it won't be either there. And again, will Dodge step up the way that Ford did with the Mustang and the F-150? I don't know about that either. Direct Connection and other programs like it that OEMs need to have, the performance end, they've got to be on their game. And if that's the only game in town, they've got to make that type of tuning accessible. And that way guys that are enthusiasts that want to get out and have fun with their cars can. So, Ryan's saying, yes, the Copperhead. Wasn't the Copperhead a TV series? I don't know. It might have been. Oh, no, that was Viper. I remember the old Viper TV series. That Viper looked a lot like a Copperhead once it did the transform thing. Break Stuff saying, man, if Dodge would make the first gen Neon again, I'd be tempted to buy one for a cheap daily. They handle good and were fun with the 5-speed. Had one hell of an intake, how banging gears. Oh, yeah, dude. Listen, if they could get away with it, how cool would that be? I'm still a huge fan of the original SRT4. I've got a little bit of a tie-in with that because of a VOI, which was the Viper Owners Invitational, where it was myself and another guy that were vying for first place, best time of the day. That to me was so much fun. And it's a core memory for me racing with this guy. And he ended up getting first place. I got second place. And this was out of about 45 guys, many of them trained drivers. And we were absolutely killing it that day. Loved the old school Neon. The problem is, I don't know that it would pass in terms of a safety test. Martin, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Saying he got his ported intake manifold on his 5.7, installed the Leg Maker True cold air intake. Thanks for the porting tips. Stoked that you got out there and did it, bro. Excellent. I'm stoked for you, man. Good job. Listen, and guys, don't be intimidated by working on your own cars and doing the porting of the intakes and stuff like that. I mean, Martin got out there, knocked it out, got his stuff taken care of, and I promise you his car is definitely running better for it. I have ported a ton of Hemi intake manifolds, 5.7, 6.4s, and I can tell you that, you know, some of them pick up quite a bit, others don't. It just depends on how much core shift those polymer intakes have. But thank you, Martin, very much for the support, brother. I appreciate that. Always happy to help you guys if y'all are working on your own stuff. If I've got any level of expertise, I try to share it with y'all as much as I can. But yeah, getting back to it though, you know, okay, so what Dodge needs to do, you know, if I had any advice, if they would listen to anything that I would say, anyway, Dodge does need to have a very low cost, entry level, just economy car. You know what? Take it a step further. I would get a whole lot more excited if Dodge goes, hey man, we're bringing back the Neon. We're doing away with the Hornet. We're going to give you a small economy car. We're going to give you even make that little guy have an EV trim level, I guess. Anyway, have it to where you could plug the thing in at home. You get 180 miles worth of range, and you can plug it into a 110 and you can drive it to work and back, right? But also have a gas powered variant. Don't worry about a hybrid. Don't waste your time with that. Just have a cool couple of gas powered cars and an EV, and just build cars for folks that live in apartments, for single moms and dads, for folks that are on a fixed income, for folks that just don't have the means to be able to go out and buy some of the, you know, here's the thing. Where Dodge is losing badly is that Dodge seems to think that they're an aspirational brand. Dodge, you fools came into this world building cars like the Dart that people bought because they had to have basic levels of transportation. All right. You built pickup trucks that were the cheapest out of the big three, had the worst resale value, still seems to be the same today. I took a bath on my Ram. But you built trucks and cars that would get people from point A to point B, and that they rarely broke down. That's what you need to start building again. Stop trying to be the Harley Davidson on four wheels. It's not playing well. It doesn't look good. It's a bad, sour look right now that you got. And the problem is that people are moving on from the brand. Now, this is the worst part, where Dodge has absolutely alienated themselves at this stage of the game was by releasing the Charger as an EV only. Okay, so let's say you make a political comment. you alienate half of the walking population, right? You piss them off. Okay, well, Dodge did that with the EV Charger. They alienated, in this case, almost 100% of the Dodge loyalists. They did away with every reason why a Dodge fan bought a Dodge car or truck for that matter. The Rams lost the V8. The cars lost the V8. People that buy Ram and Dodge are not looking to have the fastest thing on the street. No, they're looking for a big, comfortable car that sounds good, that can do smoky burnouts and cover vast distances in comfort. That's what they're looking for in a Dodge. They're not looking for a Mustang. If they wanted a Mustang, they'd have bought a Mustang. So where Dodge just completely lost the assignment for me was the fact that they chose the narcissist, the hubris that has to come with that decision to drop an EV like that. It's just, I don't get it. I won't ever be able to get it. It will never make sense. And you watch in the future, this whole scenario, the way that this played out, is going to be taught in business classes and in marketing classes. This is going to be what people will study on how not to bring a vehicle, anything, a product to market, and how knowing your audience and having that relationship with your core customer base is what keeps you in business. Because guys, right now, Dodge is on their heels. They're falling into the ropes, and fate, it seems, has got a hell of a left cross on its way to the jaw of this brand. If it doesn't figure out a way to duck, juke, parry, or something, it's going to be lights out for this brand. I mark my words, within the next 5 to 6 years. There won't be any reason to have a brand of Dodge. Don't worry about a Copperhead or a Viper or and the Cuda's coming. What the fuck ever that meant. Don't worry about that. Let's call it a decade. The clock's ticking. Dodge has got to reestablish a relationship with their core audience before it's too late. And I fear, I don't know, that slipper may have already fallen off the foot. Anyway, let me duck back in with you guys again. Martin, thank you very much for the support, brother. I appreciate that. Break Stuff saying, I miss all the American Sport Compacts. The Z24, I love that car. You remember the Beretta? That was a killer car too. The Olds Achieva, yes. W41, they were way more fun than they should have been. And they were quick too. Ryan's liking the Shadow with a GLH. Yep. The Conquest or a Stealth. Yeah, for sure. Ryan's asking, do you know if the Rampage rumors of Ram getting into light trucks? Here's the funny thing about the Rampage. Wasn't that the EV truck? I think that was the EV truck. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll talk about the EV truck. So here's the funny thing. When, and this is going back about let's call it 3 years. We were talking about STLA medium, large, and small, the platforms. STLA small, the little city runabout. The medium would have been like, I don't know, small sedans and small minivan type cars. Again, EV, and STLA large was going to be the EV that we have now kind of seen come to pass. But the Rampage was one of the first to have a concept, and it was actually a really good EV truck, very powerful, and then nothing. I'll go on record as saying this. There's two Mandela effect things that I don't really know how to explain it. I'll just come out and say it. One is the fact that Dodge was working on a Hemi replacement for the 2019 model year. And you've heard me talk about this before. Stephen Yante was talking about it. and it was going to be a 5.x liter 4-valve V8. And it's one of those things where even I went back looking for, like, where were these rumors coming from? I can't find anything on that. The Rampage, if it's let me look it up real quick. Well, I mean, I'm sitting here asking you guys. I should be looking it up for us all. Rampage Ram truck. Yeah, so it was this one right here, or the Rampage from back in the day. This is actually pretty funny. So let me click back over and do a share with you guys. Kind of forgot about this. Check it out. So remember the Rampage, the front wheel drive, it was basically a Dodge Daytona with a bed. It was like it was a little El Camino. The VW had one. Anyway, yeah, the Rampage. This was the EV truck though. And at least you can see it. Like, at least it exists in some level of print. It never came to pass. And, here's the strange thing. Ford's Lightning. Okay. So get a load of this. I see a ton of the Ford Lightning trucks running around. And you want to know what's weird? They're all fleet trucks. I see more. And imagine having a Lightning as a fleet truck. This thing is like it's a bunch of power. Things fly, right? But I see so many of those as fleet trucks. It's something that I just never would have imagined. So Martin saying, glad to have your channel as a reference for when it comes time to open up my wallet. It seems like no platform is easier to waste money on than the Gen 3 Hemi. Well, I will say this. The Gen 3 Hemi, man, oh my gosh, Gen 3 Hemis. The problem with the Gen 3 Hemi, is it was never given a sports car platform to put into. Make no mistake, the Challenger, the Charger, they're not sports cars. The Challenger and the Charger are based off of the E-Class Mercedes-Benz platform circa 2009, and that's the W211, and with bits off the W212 S-Class. That ain't a sports car. That is a heavy sedan that is designed to run at 150 miles an hour indefinitely. It's not meant to corner. It's meant to be stable through corners. It's meant to go through sweepers at 150 miles an hour. It's not a handling thing. It's a luxury car that got a rebody. That's what that platform is. The Hemi never, ever got placed in a hot rod platform like a Viper, for example. How cool would it have been to actually go through with what Carroll Shelby wanted for the Viper, which was to have it be V8 powered? And I mean, you could start with the V8, go to a V10, supercharge or turbo or whatever, some power plant to be above that. There's ways that you could have a platform in a car that would do amazingly well in the marketplace if only given the opportunity. Well, the same could go for just the engine itself, because unfortunately that engine has been saddled with a platform that is 600 or 700 pounds too heavy. And that's even for the trucks. Guys, Ram pickup trucks are just flat out heavy for their size. So anyway, that's kind of that's where my head is at right now, really, with Dodge. There's nothing remarkable coming from them anytime soon. I don't care about what rumors look like. Rumors don't mean anything to me. It's like trying to quote, the gross horsepower numbers from back in the day. None of that matters. What does it put to the rear wheels? What kind of transmission is it going to have? What kind of handling characteristics is it going to have? What's it going to cost? all of those things are the things that I'm more concerned with. But it's got to be a concrete thing, because until the rumor becomes real, who cares? It just doesn't matter. So anyway, that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to put a title on this show tonight. I didn't want to clickbait this one or anything like that. You guys know me. I'm not really like that anyway. But I am regularly annoyed by Dodge rumor videos. It's like, guys, y'all can sit around and just, campfire away, all the wants, hopes, and dreams, kumbaya your way all the way through this brand. But here's what I know are the facts. The car that we got ain't the car that we asked for. In fact, it's the polar opposite of the car that a lot of us were asking for. And even if you're going to do away with the V8, a smaller car powered by the Hurricane 6s, a la a Conquest, a Talon, something like that, that would have been completely acceptable, especially to a lot of Gen X guys that are coming of age right now, where nostalgia starts to mean something. Dodge, you already did it once with the Challenger. You need to do it again before the Gen X guys just go out and buy Mustangs like they would have back in high school or right out of high school, and their dads would have done it. My dad didn't have that kind of money. Anyway, person in chat, got the bald guy with the specs and the flex. I like it. Ryan saying, think of this, Professor, a Toyota GR86 6-speed with an HOI 6. Yeah, exactly. GR86 is sweet. It would actually absolutely wreck shop on the competition from, anything, Mustang, old Camaros, whatever. Put the Hellcat engine into something. Look, put the Hellcat engine into something that people will pay the Hellcat engine price for. But guys, I got to tell you something. Used Hellcats, those prices are going down, 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 down. Okay. It's not hard to find Hellcat powered contraptions for $30,000 and $40,000 anymore. And they used to be crazy expensive. So again, I see this as people are getting a little bit tired, and the concept is getting maybe a little bit played out for a lot of folks. And they just don't want the headaches. They want something new. They want something fresh, man. They want something that's their own. You could satisfy Gen X and the youth market all at the same time by recreating the Conquest / Starion or the Talon. So when you think about it in those terms, again, Dodge is missing the boat in ways that, like, it's so weird. I don't understand. Again, this will be studied in perpetuity. How to screw this up. Something that was already laid out and so good before. How do you butcher that? Well, you just do this, that, and this. And then look, for anybody that would say, well, it was because of the administration before or whatever. Look, you can always rely on the open market to correct itself at some point, but you've got to put products out there that make sense. And whether or not who is in office or whatever, that's not going to change the tastes of the people that are buying your products. And that's where things got weird. These are supposed to be learned, smart people, and they're making every bad decision that you can make. I'll put it to you like this. It just seems to me that there's more to this, because you can't make this many mistakes. Statistically, you have to at least make a right decision at some point. Like, I cannot agree with the idea that this brand and the people that are paid to work for them and market their product and engineer their product, but primarily to drive this ship, I cannot be convinced that they could make this many bad decisions unless there was an end goal to it. Like, you can't see there. If you were to put together a roadmap on how to sink a brand, Dodge is literally following it per the letter. So again, people talk about, the rumors, it's going to be a this and it's going to be a that. Guys, what? This brand is being scuttled before our very eyes in a matter that is so systematic that you would think that this was put into play and it was engineered obsolescence, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this brand is about to be set out for freaking target practice. Again, I'll give it a decade if they can't figure out a way to right this ship. And oh, by the way, incorporating the Ram brand into Dodge, that's just life support. That's a stay of execution. Ram has got some really cool products right now. The RHO is kind of working out to be, at least by today's standards, a hell of a bargain. Dodge has got some cool products, or I should say, Ram has got great trucks, provided that they hold together long enough. But the problem with Ram is that they have terrible resale value. And again, I just got through going through this about a year ago with mine. And it's one of the reasons why I bought the Ford that I bought, was at least, if nothing else, I had better chance of recuperating any money if I wanted to move on to something else. But at any rate, I digress, my friends. I didn't mean to get on a soapbox, but guys, I'm telling you right now, the more I look at this brand and the more frustrated I get with it, the more that it eats away at me, because I have so much invested, and this brand has given me a lot. You know, this brand, and working on the Mopars and talking to you guys about Mopars, I mean, it really has, in many cases, put food on the table for me. So there is a bunch of loyalty with me for the Mopar universe. But man, it's just very frustrating. I'll just leave it at that. Martin saying he's got a set of 275s on the way. Interested to see how they do over the near ball 255s. They'll be better. They'll definitely be better. If which brand did you get, Martin? Did you get the those Falcons, or did you go with something different? I can tell you that the FK510s, 275/45 are really good on the 5.7 and the Scat Pack cars. So if you didn't go with those, it doesn't matter. But those, the FK510s in particular, because I do have a bit of history with those tires, and they are very good. Got the Indies, also a very good tire. That's the other one that I would have suggested to go with. So Firehawks are damn good. But with that, guys, I am going to go ahead and wrap it up. I will be posting, let's see, what am I posting tomorrow? Oh, so I'm working on a new camera helmet. I've tried today, I posted up a couple of videos on the Triumph T595. Fun little ride-along video. It's kind of a ride and review. It is coming up on, we're not there yet, but, well, we're kind of there. We're coming up on, it took me a while to get that bike back on the street, but just wanted to get it out, showcase it a little bit. And I'm testing that camera rig too. So I've got some GSXR content that I may post up tomorrow. That's just me literally riding the bike, hitting some twists, not really, some twisties, getting the bike on the side of the tire, but mainly just checking to see how this new camera rig worked out. And it seems to work out pretty good, but I think the mount is a little bit unstable. And so I'm going to get the actual chin mount, put that on the new helmet, and we'll see how that works out. Oh, Chad 6 saying the Falcon is Zenith Summers. Yeah, Zenith Summers are damn good too. They hook way better than you might give them credit for. But anyway, check that content out if you haven't had a chance. If you're into bikes, if you like ride-along videos, check it out. I did get a chance to air out the Daytona a little bit today, so more towards the end of that video, you'll see me having a lot of fun with that bike. But with that, guys, I'm going to check out. Listen, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you do, or than you know, and probably way more than you do too. There's folks that are out there, especially right now, guys. You know, a lot of folks are hurting. Economy's weird. People are weird. It's summertime. People are going to start acting cranky. Have a little bit of grace with those that are around you, but more to the point, have some grace with yourself too. It's okay to forgive yourself for things that, you know, just, it'd be all right, guys. Be cool. And with that, I'm going to check out. Y'all have a great one. Take care.